Slam, ego, slamming, hey, hit it up hard, hit him with a strike, from the national anthem to the bottom of the ninth. Amen. Slamming, ego, slamming, ego, slamming, ego, slamming, hey, you already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. We should know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 378 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here on April 4th, 2023. Padres, they just split this series, 2-game set with the Arizona Diamondbacks. They have a 3-3 record so far on the season. Let me know in the comments if you're here on YouTube live or on replay or listening to the podcast. Go on YouTube and put it in the comments. How would you grade this series or this homestand, excuse me? I guess you could grade the series as well. How would you grade this homestand, 3-3, first homestand of the year? How would you grade that for the Padres? I put that poll out on my Twitter account at Talking Friars, where my Padres content is. I also have a personal Twitter at BenFaddenSD, where I have my other sports thoughts. But at Talking Friars on Twitter, you can vote in that poll, or you could just put your thoughts in the comments. How would you grade this homestand? I personally would give it a C. It could have been a lot better, but it also could have been worse. And I'll definitely get to everything that happened pretty much in this homestand. I mean, I already talked about the Colorado Rockies series and splitting that series. Lost the first two. Offense wasn't doing a whole lot. And then they came back, won the next two. And it definitely, you felt much better about the team at the end of that series. But then these last couple games against the Diamondbacks, sure, the ending of last night's game was amazing with the walk-offs, but it is the Arizona Diamondbacks. You don't feel like you should be in that situation against them. And today they had a 5-1 lead, and they ended up not winning the game. And that's a game that the Padres should win. And yeah, there was the Manny ejection, which shouldn't have even happened, and we'll get to that. There were some unfortunate things that happened in the game that shouldn't have happened, but you still shouldn't lose that game with the talent that is on this team. The bullpen, I think, needs to pitch better. There definitely is room for improvement there. I know that Robert Suarez is not in there. Drew Pomeranz is not in there. Adrian Marjon is not in there. Joe Musgrove did not make a start in this homestand because he's not ready, obviously. There's an update on him, by the way, and I'll get to that. But there's still a lot of talent on this team. So I think that they should have came out of this homestand with a better record than 3-3. But they also don't have a losing record, and I do understand that they are down players, right? I didn't even mention Tatis. So let's talk about these first or these only 2 games in this Diamondback series. Let's start with today's game, and then I'll hit on yesterday's game. But today, the Padres, they fall to the Diamondbacks 8-6. They had a 5-1 lead in this game. Yu Darvish got his first start on the season. I thought he looked pretty good. I mean, there were times where, I mean, it's like, wow, this isn't the Yu Darvish we're used to. Had 4 walks. Like, that's not really Yu Darvish, only 3 strikeouts. But I did go into this outing with a little tempered expectations. I thought he would get, like, at least 6 strikeouts in this outing, but it was his first start of the year. He had a weird spring training because he was with the World Baseball he was with Japan for the World Baseball Classic, only threw 93 pitches in that WBC. So it was kind of weird, and he had to build up. Wasn't ready for opening day or even the first series of the year. So this was just his first start of the year. So you didn't know how long he was going to go, how sharp he was going to look. I thought he looked good at times. And he still pitched good enough for the Padres to go away with this win today. I mean, the offense showed up for Darvish, had 3 runs in the first 2 innings. Excuse me, that was yesterday's game. Sorry, wrong box score. 3 runs in the first 4 innings, had 2 more that they tacked on in the 5th. Nelson Cruz had a home run. Xander Bogaerts had a home run. Trent Grisham had a home run there in the 9th inning. The Padres were already down multiple runs there. They were down 3, I believe. Was it 3? Yeah, they were down 3 entering the ninth, and then Grish had that solo home run to make it 8-6. Uh, but still 3 home runs, scored 6 runs in total. Like, that should be good enough to win a game against the Arizona Diamondbacks with Darvish on the mound and him giving up 1 run in those 5 innings. With the bullpen that they have, even if they are down a few guys, I feel like this is a game that the Padres should have won, and they didn't. And so throw this one in that category of games that hopefully won't come back to bite the Padres, but could, maybe on, like, playoff positioning at the end of the year. I remember some early last year, in last year's season that you throw into that category, you know? So yeah, another game they should have won. I was encouraged by the offense. Soto had 2 hits. Um, Cruz obviously with the home run. Bogarts had 2 hits. He is on a 6-game hitting streak to start the year. What a first homestand for him as a Padre, huh? He's hitting .409 right now. 2 for 4 today, scored 2 runs, drove in 2 runs. Crony had a great day, 3 for 4. I think he took some extra BP before the game on the field, which was optional, obviously, because it was a day game. He scored a run, um, looking better at the plate there. Even Nola got a hit, drove in a run. So they had the offense today. It just came down to the bullpen, which really screwed the Padres. I mean, let's face it. Bogarts had that home run, made it a 5-1 game. And then in the 6th, there was, let's see, the Perdomo double, which, look, I'm not going to bash Chris Matt. I think that's who it was in the game at the time. I'm not going to bash him because, like, he got out of the inning. He got a fly out to right that, or line out, but David Dahl should have caught that ball. They called it a double, but that's not really a double. If you were watching the game, Dahl should have caught that ball. So 2 runs scored there. Should have still been a 3-3 game instead of a 5-3, a 5-1 game instead of a 5-3 game there in the 6th. The inning continues. Rojas has a single, makes it 5-4. That shouldn't have even happened because there was 2 outs in the inning in that 6th when Dahl dropped that ball. So just errors all over the place. There was errors, obviously the error from Dahl. There was the throwing error by Luis Garcia when he came in the game trying to pick off a guy. There was the bunt. It was a good bunt, but Carpenter dropped that grounder. So just sloppy defense. Combine that with Garcia not pitching well. Not a good combination. Combine that, those things with Arizona Diamondbacks just stealing bases all over the place because Austin Nola doesn't have a strong arm. And, it's a very bad combination. And credit to the D-backs for capitalizing on the Padres' mistakes, some of their issues today. And the Diamondbacks, they're a team where, yeah, they don't have as much talent as the Padres, but it feels like they can. They proved it today. They can still beat you if they play better fundamental baseball than you do. That's what happened today. 8th inning with that bunt, Carpenter drops it as he tries to field it. There's a tie game there. Then there's a bloop single to center. Then Gurriel had a sac fly. That drove in a run, made it 7-5. Marte stole second. Nola has a not great arm, so the throw took some time to get to Crony at second. Then Crony had to kind of make a off-balance attempt to throw out the runner coming home. Couldn't get him there. And that gave the Diamondbacks their 8th and final run of the game. It was 8-5 in that spot. Grish had a home run in the 9th, made it 8-6, but that obviously was not good enough. Nola, like, I know there's probably going to be someone in the chat here that's going to say, man, Nola needs to step it up, or Campy should be catching. But, like, the Padres, they know going into this, like, this season, going into last season, that Nola doesn't have the strongest arm. But they continue to have him back there as the catcher, as the main starting catcher, because they trust him to be a good backstop and communicate well and lead the pitching staff, right? The pitchers need to deliver the ball to the plate a little bit faster. And Bob Melvin mentioned that after the game in his post-game presser with the media. He talked about that. I think one of the members of the media, I forget who it was, asked Bob about, well, how can you control the running game? just don't get into those situations, is what Bomel said. And I know that's not the most encouraging thing to hear from Bomel because he doesn't have an answer about really controlling the running game, um, like when guys are on base, because it's kind of hard to with Nola behind the plate because guys can just steal, even if a pitcher does work fast sometimes and work to the plate fast. Some guys are still going to steal because they're fast, like Corbin Carroll, and Nola just doesn't have as strong of an arm as other catchers in baseball. And that stinks, but the Bomel, like, he's not wrong. You can't allow those guys to reach first base and then not really pay attention to them at first. Or when you do, you throw the ball away and you put runners in scoring position. So there was a lot of, kicking themselves in the butt, if that makes sense today, from the Padres. So yeah, I think they deserve to lose this game based on the way they played defensively for the most part, the bullpen there, and they lost the game. I mean, thank goodness for David Dahl. I mean, thank goodness for Bomel's decision to have David Dahl pinch hit last night and for Ha-Sung Kim with the back-to-back home runs, or else I'd be sitting here talking about the Padres getting swept in this mini 2-game series against the Diamondbacks. And the Padres would be what? 3-4? Or no, 2-4, right? They'd be 2-4 going into the Atlanta series if it wasn't for some of the great heroics there offensively by the Padres late in the game yesterday. Or, Manny's jumping catch that saved the ball going down the line. I think that might have saved a run last night. Jose Zokar going full extension in right field. I know it was a bad route, but he still made the catch. That may have led to a big inning there because that would have put a guy probably at least on second base if Zokar doesn't catch the ball. That's a runner in scoring position with, I think, no outs. Maybe a runner scores there. And the Kim home run maybe would tie the game there instead of win it. Or maybe that home run would have been maybe a run that would have put the Padres down 1 instead of tying it or going ahead, walking it off, which it was last night, right? So there were some things that went right yesterday. But before we get to yesterday's game, I'm going to go in the comments here, hear your thoughts. Again, how would you grade this first homestand of the season for the Padres? They are 3-3. I'm definitely going to get to the Manny ejection. Don't worry. Irie says they should have tried the hidden ball trick on the Diamondbacks. Nola can't throw no one out. Noodle arm. Yeah. I mean, he can throw people out, but it has to be like not like Corbin. I think it was Corbin Carroll today for the Diamondbacks. I think it was against Garcia. He got an amazing jump. It doesn't matter who is catching in that spot. You're not throwing them out. So when the pitchers aren't even looking at guys like Corbin Carroll, they're not paying attention or close enough attention to guys like that on the bases, and you're just letting them get great jumps like that, you can't really blame Nola because no one's going to throw out Corbin Carroll in that spot. It doesn't matter who is behind the plate. So I would say it's a combination. When guys don't get the best jump, they still steal second. Well, then you can say, yeah, that's probably on Nola a little bit, but also pitchers not controlling the run game good enough or just not working fast enough to the plate. Sal says bullpen not looking too good. Yeah, so opening day, obviously, that was not great. Tapia, Chris Matt. I'm not gonna go as far as to say that Chris Matt pitched bad today. What was his line? I'm looking up his line right now. Again, he should have gotten out of that inning, but Dahl dropped that ball in right. Bad defense, kicking themselves in the butt. That's kind of what happened today. Chris Matt, an inning, 3 hits, but one of those hits was counted as a double, even though that was an error on Dahl. Yeah, Chris Matt did walk 2, but what did I say? The game should have been like 5-1 still at that point when Chris Matt left. I think 5-1. If Dahl would have caught that ball in right. So there was a lot of things for this game. I can't just pinpoint one thing on why the Padres lost. Unless I'm going to say generally they just played sloppy baseball. But there was pitching, there was defense. not controlling the run game, letting the Diamondbacks run all over the place. Like there was multiple things here that happened. And how many games did Hader pitch in this homestand? 1 or 2? I'd like to see him pitch a little bit more, but early in the year, the Padres, they're going to save him for save situations. When he did pitch, he pitched well this homestand. Devin says 3 and 3. Not too bad, but would have liked to finish the first homestand with a positive note. Yeah, of course. And 4 and 2 just feels a lot better than 3 and 3, especially with the way it got to 3 and 3, having a 5-1 lead and then losing. Yeah, shout out to Xander Bogaerts. X-Man, Devin says, is literally on a rampage at the moment. Grish smokes 2 big bombs, and the back end of the rotation looked decent. Nothing bad to say. Well, I have some bad things to say, like about some things that happened in this series. Some of the big offensive players had some slow starts. The bullpen was not the best it could have been. So there are some negative things that we can say about this, but I do agree. Like encouraging things that I've seen so far in this homestand, I saw from Bogarts, from Grisham, the rotate, Waka, Martinez, Lugo, especially Lugo. I mean, he pleasantly surprised me with his outing on Sunday. That game was like 2 hours long, and Lugo just attacking the zone, 22 first pitch strikes out of the 25 batters he faced. That was impressive. Giving length, you know, uh, who would have thought, right? Like Darvish, Snell, they don't give length. Well, I guess you could have thought Snell, but the 2 best pitchers in the rotation going into the year, because Musgrove obviously isn't in it right now, they don't really give the Padres the length the first time around. It's the bottom 3 that give the Padres the length. Yep, I agree, Lizzie. Carpenter and Dahl's errors cost us some runs. Definitely Dahl. Yep, cost 2 runs there. Should have been out of the inning. Devin says Hill, Honeywell, and Hader were sharp. Chris Matt Garcia, on the other hand, looked shaky. Didn't Garcia pitch okay the other night, though? When did he pitch? Saturday? I want to say it was Saturday. But yeah, today he was not good. Definitely agree with that. And then Honeywell, I was kind of impressed and kind of not impressed by his performances. I think he pitched back-to-back days, these 2 Diamondbacks games. Got his first strikeout last night since April of 2021 because he was dealing with some injuries and being in the minor leagues and having to go earn a spot back on a big league roster. So that was cool to see that. I mean, it was I think it was a screwball that he threw there. Nasty pitch. But he got hit around a little bit today. But he did come in a very tough situation. I mean, Garcia, maybe there was the bases loaded. I forget if it was the bases loaded or not. But he came in definitely with runners on, Garcia's runners. So Honeywell today finished inning and 2/3, 1 hit, no earned runs, no walks, 1 strikeout. All right, I think it's time to get to the Manny Machado thing. So first inning, Manny is DHing because Bomel wants to kind of use like the double day off thing, 2 days off in a row. Have Manny still be in the lineup. There's the day off tomorrow before the Atlanta series starts up in Atlanta, obviously. So kind of get Manny off his feet 2 days in a row. You see managers do that nowadays. And so I wasn't surprised to see Manny DHing today, but I was expecting him to be DHing, not have 1 at bat and then get screwed over by the umpire, Ron Kolpa, who thinks everyone bought a ticket to go watch him be the home plate umpire. So sick of that guy. Seriously, I'm so sick of that guy. If there was one umpire that I'd want out of this league, I'd probably want Kolpa out more than Angel Hernandez. And I think that's saying a lot. But yeah, so Manny, he's up there, and there's 2 strikes on him. Zach Gallen's take the mound. Clock's running down, 11, 10, 9, 8. Manny calls timeout. It looked like Kolpa was going to give it to him because he signaled time. And then he points to Manny, calls him out, strike 3, innings over. So he took the bat out of our best player's hands, or arguably best player, our captain's hands in his first at bat when he called time. Manny followed the rules here. He was in the box. He wasn't ready. 8 seconds. He called time. For anyone that wants to sit there and say, well, no, Manny didn't follow the rules. He called time and there was 7 seconds on there. No. If you go look back at the replay, you slow it down. He signals for time with 8 seconds left on the clock. And I believe there was still 8 seconds on the clock when Copa started to move to call time. So he should have been awarded time in that situation. It wasn't that, it's not like it was 5 seconds and Manny called time or 7 seconds. The batter has 8 seconds when there's 8 seconds on the clock, he has to be looking at the pitcher. Manny wasn't, but he was calling time. He's allowed to do that. And so he's called out. Manny is like, come on, Ron. I think that's what he said. BS call. And there was, I think, Danny Vietti on Twitter. He posted a video about what Manny said that got him tossed. He called Ron Culpa a douchebag. And I'm like, well, I'm thinking in my head, Manny's not wrong. Ron Culpa, he loves picking a fight with Manny Machado. And he wants to be the center of attention. He thinks everyone goes to the game to watch him be the home plate umpire. Like, no one cares about you, Ron. You're disrupting our entertainment. We're trying to watch Manny Machado play baseball. And I know Nelson Cruz homered in that first at-bat, which was great to see, but I still would have rather have seen Manny in the lineup over Nelson Cruz, the last however many at-bats that he had. Okay, so just because Manny called him a douchebag, that's what gets Ron Culpa mad, and that, calling him a douchebag is now good enough to throw Manny out of the game. That's what the standard is. Home plate umpires are that soft that they make a bad call. They call someone out when they should have just awarded him time because it was under the rules. He was doing something that was under the rules. Didn't give him the timeout, and you throw him out just because he called you out essentially on the bad call that you made. In the first inning, this wasn't late in the game. First inning, and you throw him out. And guess what? Ron Culpa isn't going to get disciplined. It's not like he's going to go get fined. At least Major League Baseball is not going to make that public. Major League Baseball makes it public when baseball players get fined for doing stuff, but not for umpires. So publicly, Ron Culpa is not going to face any repercussions for this. Just, I guess, fans on social media saying how bad of an umpire he is, but he probably doesn't have social media. He doesn't care about that. So he doesn't have to face anything. No punishment. He still gets to umpire the rest of that game and go umpire and get paid. While Manny, he has to go sit in the clubhouse after one at-bat and can't help his team. That doesn't sound right. And it's not like Manny was right in his face and pointing at him like Manny has done previously in some ejections and gotten really, really pissed off. It seemed like Manny was just like, come on, dude. I called time. And as he was walking away, that's a BS call, you douchebag. And Culpa was like, nope, you're gone. It's just stupid. Just stupid. And even if the Padres would have won, I would have brought it up and had this opinion. It's just tired. I mean, go back to last season, Padres-Dodgers. Culpa was behind the plate, and he was making terrible calls all night for both sides, mainly the Padres. I remember Grisham was at the plate, ball way outside, strike. Just terrible. Ball down, strike. And then there was the at-bat to Manny. I have a breakdown on this here on this YouTube channel, and it's on, I think, my Twitter at Talking Friars. Just probably look up Ron Culpa breakdown or something. And probably put Manny Manny Ron Copa breakdown. You'll probably find it. But yeah, Manny, there was one at bat where there was a couple missed ball calls. Copa calls it a strike. Then Manny strikes out looking against the Dodgers last year. It was a strike, but Manny was pissed off about the previous calls that were just messed up by Ron Copa. And he gets run. And then as he's walking back to the dugout, back is towards Copa. Copa goes after Manny and keeps talking and keeps engaging and wants Manny to keep, like, he's picking a fight with Manny. He loves picking fights with, I don't know if it's about, I don't know if he likes picking fights with players all around the league, but whenever he's managing or whenever he's umpiring against the Padres, seems like he's always out for Manny. And Manny's just tired of it, just like a lot of Padre fans are tired of it. If you're watching these games that are umpired behind the plate by Ron Copa, but I doubt he's going to face any punishment for making a wrong ejection call because it's a judgment call, right? So stupid. Yeah, Laz Diaz is also bad, but I'd still go with Copa. If there's one guy I could just kick out of the league, it's probably Ron Copa. Allen says Manny got his hand up in time, but he shouldn't have cursed at him, which led to the ejection. I mean, come on. Every umpire, I guarantee you, every umpire, every game deals with players cussing. So, and Copa has umpired probably hundreds of games now in the big leagues. I think he's used to it, but he's still so soft that someone says that to him, and first inning, yeah, you're gone. Like, come on. All right. I think those were my main thoughts for today's Padres game. 8-6 loss. Diamondbacks rallied in the eighth. Speed, errors, blue pits. The Padres offense showed up. I mean, really, props to Xander Bogaerts. He's had one heck of a homestand to start off his Padres career. Trent Grisham has been swinging the bat well, and hopefully on this road trip, Manny, Soto, they can really get the bats going. Crony can continue after having a good game today. Soto had a home run yesterday, had at least one hit today. So looks like he's doing a little bit better. But it's going to be a tough road trip coming up. Not as tough because Verlander's not going to pitch for the Mets. But Braves and the Mets coming up, those are tougher teams than the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. And the Padres went 3-3 against the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. So they got to play cleaner, crisper baseball, that's for sure. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. Alan says Doug Eddings is worse. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about worse. Doug Eddings does suck, but Ron Copa just pisses me off. All right, let's talk about the Padres game yesterday. Padres won 5-4, and it didn't look like they were going to win. You know, the Aztecs, they lost, unfortunately, to UConn. An amazing season, but they lost, and it looked like the Padres were going to lose. Evan Longoria hit that go-ahead home run, and it's like, well, yes. San Diego had such a great sports weekend, such a great sports Saturday. Just all three major San Diego sports teams, Padres, Aztecs basketball, the Wave, all getting wins, that we had to have a bad sports Monday with the Aztecs losing, the Padres losing. But then Bob Melvin has David Dahl pinch hit there as the 8-hitter, and David Dahl hits the game-tying home run in the left center field gap, or over the left center field wall, couple rows deep, stayed on it. I loved how pumped up he was as he was going from first to second, as we, that camera angle that we saw. So he ties the game up. Then Ha-Sung Kim comes up as the 9-hitter, and he walks it off. Obviously, the win of the year so far. I know the year just got started, but it was one heck of an ending. Definitely one heck of an ending. And it was great to see the Padres fans, chanting Ha-Sung Kim's name as they always do, and then he delivers. And the excitement that he had, taking off his helmet, the fist up in the air, and then Bogey and Manny, everyone jumping at the plate as he's coming in. The Gatorade bath. Manny got he almost got scanned. He got Kim and he got what's the translator's name? Leo Bay, I think. I could be botching that. I apologize to him. I think that's his name. But Manny got the translator, got Kim. Bogarts and Soto kind of missed, but it was a great celebration, and it was a much needed win after the Aztecs obviously disappointment. I mean, I don't mean to say like I'm disappointed in the Aztecs team. It was just a sucky loss, right? Because you wanted to win the Natty so bad, right? Um, and to come, 40 minutes away from being the national champions, and you weren't able to get it, it sucks. So we were just down, and then Longo hits that home run. It's like, oh, come on, really? We got to end the night like this? And then it all changed. The Diamondbacks, they don't have a closer. I know Don and Mud, they were talking about that on the broadcast last night. They don't really have a closer. I totally forget what was the guy's name? McGowan, who was in the game yesterday for them in that ninth inning. McGow. I don't know if I've ever heard of this guy. I've heard of Chafin, Andrew Chafin, but yeah, Scott McGow, I guess, was the pitcher yesterday and had a couple mistake pitches there, and the Padres capitalized. I mean, the Padres, they have a much better bullpen situation than the Diamondbacks, but I know that didn't show itself much in this homestand, but hopefully, the length of the season, it'll prove that this Padres bullpen is one of the better bullpens in baseball. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to just highlight the Dahl and Kim home runs either, because like going back in this game, Ryan Weathers, he made that start, finally returns to the big leagues, like super happy for him, because he's had to work through a lot of things. He really struggled at times last year in the minor leagues, and so he really had to work his butt off to get back, and he has. I don't think that I mean, I just don't hold the opinion that he should have made that start. I thought that Groom should have made the roster, but I do understand, like, the walk numbers were a little concerning probably to the Padres front office, so they just had him go down. Weathers has big league experience, so I understand the decision, and I definitely don't hate Ryan Weathers. Um, it was cool to see him back on the mound. I thought he pitched okay. He ends up going 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, so kept the Padres in the game, obviously. Only struck out 2. I thought he was gonna strike out more than that. But he only walked 1 guy. Ended up throwing 90 pitches, then Honeywell comes in. He gives the Padres 2 innings, gave up 1 run. So, good job out of the Weathers and Honeywell. And then shout out to Tim Hill because he got that double play in the what was it, the 9th inning, I think? He gets that double play, and that allows the Padres to be down just 1 instead of multiple runs, and then maybe the Kim home run, like I was saying earlier, it's something that puts them still down 1, or it ties the game instead of winning the game. So, props to Tim Hill. I mean, it seems like every year we sit here and say, "Man, Tim Hill doesn't get talked about enough. He gets out a lot of jams." And that's what I find myself saying, to start this season. I definitely appreciate Tim, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, so props to the pitching staff for keeping the Padres in the game, and then to the defense. The Manny catch down the line was tremendous. Definitely showed his hops there, and it did save a run. I'm trying to look at what the situation, excuse me, was, trying to remember it. It did save a run. I think he robbed, who was it? Was it Kyle Lewis? I think it was Kyle Lewis up at the plate. Liner looked like it was going down the left field corner, and Manny jumps up, snags it. Yeah, so third inning, there was no outs. Kyle Lewis was up at the plate. Weathers kind of hung a pitch there. Lewis lines one down the left field line. I'm rewatching it right now, and Manny grabs it. Definitely saved a run there. So that was huge. And then the Jose Azocar catch later in the game, that would have been a leadoff double, maybe a triple, probably a double. Leadoff guy on, maybe that would have changed things. So there was some really good defense there by the Padres to keep the score where it was at. And it ended up being huge for the Padres because the Padres ended up coming back and winning on back-to-back home runs. David Dahl, that was his first hit with the Padres at the big league level, obviously. Odor, I believe, had his first hit with the Padres. That was a double, I think, to the left center field gap last night. Lineup construction is another thing that we could talk about. I like the way that Bomel is kind of shifting around the lineup. Nowadays in Major League Baseball, you're not going to see the lineup be consistent all the time. When Tatis comes back, hopefully it does become kind of consistent, at least, the first 4 or 5 hitters. If Tatis is going to lead off, well, then have him lead off every day. Like the best players, they should stay probably in a consistent spot because they're really good players. Who cares what the matchup says? They should be able to get on base most times, right? So hopefully it's a little more consistent later in the year. But now, experimenting with Bogarts leading off until Tatis comes back and Grisham leading off a little bit. And if Grisham's leading off, then Bogarts is probably hitting fourth. Soto hitting second, Manny hitting third, or Manny hitting third, Soto hitting second. So Soto would hit second if a righty's on the mound sometimes, if a lefty's on the mound. Maybe it's third. Maybe they want Bogarts Manny up back to back there. Just finding different ways to go about making this lineup is what Bob Melvin and the Padres are doing right now. There's a lot of different combinations that they can go with, and might as well right now kind of tinker with things at the beginning of the year to try to find what works best and what makes most of the team comfortable in the lineup, where they're hitting. And maybe at some point down the line, the offense or the lineup is going to look pretty consistent. But also later in the year, we could still be seeing, Cruz, Carpenter changing positions every day, one on the bench, one DHing, or Carpenter at first, Crony at second, Kim not in the lineup, Cruz in there. So where is each guy hitting? The outfield situation, if Odor's out there or if Dahl's out there, that might change the lineup a little bit. If Campy's catching or Nola's catching, how does that change the lineup? Where do they put Kim there, near the bottom if he's not leading off? Like, there's a lot of different things that the Padres are going to be talking about with this lineup all year long, before every game. But I've liked how the lineup, I've noticed that the lineup has been changing a little bit. They're not trying to stick with just one thing right now, because I don't think that's the best approach. At the beginning of the year, you want to get everyone involved because you don't want someone sitting there for a week before they get their first start. I wouldn't think that that's great for that player that's sitting there for a week, right? So getting everyone involved, and they do have that matchup depth, if that makes sense. Like Odor, Carpenter, if a righty's on the mound, they can go with those guys in the lineup. If a lefty's on the mound, they could have Cruz in there. They could have Dahl in there, right? I said lefty. No. Dahl left? Dahl's a lefty, right? Yeah, Dahl's a lefty. There's just different combinations. Sorry, I was looking up to make sure Dahl's a lefty. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because he took it oppo last night. See, I should remember that. Devin asks, what do you think of Odor in right field? I don't really have much of a thought on that right now. I was, when that was first happening in spring training, the only thing I thought of it was, okay, he's making the team. We've never seen him out there. It didn't seem like he got a ton of action out there this first homestand in right field, and I think he played a game at second, at least one. So there's not a whole lot for me to give my thoughts on him in right field. He hasn't like made a really bad mistake or anything that has blown up on social media or anything like that. So I can't really say anything negative, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm going to act like he's like this amazing right fielder. I just haven't really seen a big sample size. Enrique asks, do you think the early bullpen struggles are temporary or long term? I would say more temporary. Chris Matt, if you look at his long term track record, he's been a really good reliever for the Padres. Underrated reliever. Tim Hill's been good. Luis Garcia has been a good reliever for the Padres. If you go look at last year, he's one of the better relievers. So, yeah, it was not a good game for him today, and there has been struggles from the bullpen. But I do think it's important to remember it's the beginning of the year. Domingo Tapia should not even be in this bullpen if some guys were healthy. Their second best reliever, Robert Suarez, or arguably best reliever. Hader's probably a little ahead of Suarez, but Suarez is not there. Pomerantz is not there. When he's on the field, the guy has like a sub 3 ERA, sub 2 ERA. Morejon is not there. So the bullpen is not at full strength. We'll see what it looks like if Seth Lugo goes to the pen at some point, or if Nick Martinez goes to the pen at some point, because I don't see the Padres sticking with a 6-man rotation all year. So one of those guys will have to go to the bullpen if Musgrove, Darvish, Snell, Waka, Martinez, or Lugo, if those guys are healthy, right? That leaves Martinez or Lugo probably going to the pen. And Cole Hamels, when is he going to be ready? Mid-season? I'm not counting on him. Don't get me wrong, but just throwing out some different names there. So yeah, I'm not to answer that. I think the bullpen struggles are temporary. I don't think we should be that concerned about it. Obviously, just bummed out that that has happened already. But that did happen, if I remember correctly, last year too. That the bullpen was not amazing, to start the year, right? I mean, Robert Suarez on opening day. I know this gets brought up a lot, but Suarez last year on opening day did not pitch well, and look what happened the rest of the year, right? Or mostly the second half of the year, right? He like didn't give up a run in September. Pitched amazingly well in the postseason. So it's a long year. I wouldn't overreact to the first homestand of the year, results wise, with the bullpen. And then I also wouldn't overreact to like Bogarts either. I'm ecstatic that he's doing this the first homestand, but I don't think we should expect him to hit 400 the whole year, right? But he's gotten off to a good power start, right? Has like 3 home runs already. Grish has how many? 2, I think. Because Cruz got his first one today. Bogarts has 3. Yeah, Grisham has 2. So good start from some guys on offense, and I think this homestand was a good indication on what we can get out of Bogarts, like line drive hitter. He's going to get on base. I mean, some people considered last year as a down year for Bogarts, and he hit over 300. I'd love to have that down year if I was playing in the big leagues, right? So he's going to be hitting cleanup, or he's going to be hitting second, or hitting leadoff, or fifth. I don't know. I don't know where they're going to put him. Probably, I would say fourth, but that's just because I love Tatis in the leadoff spot. That it just seems like where he's most comfortable, and they can utilize his speed, athleticism there in that leadoff spot. Wherever they put Bogey, like he'll come through more often than not. In those spots, I think with runners on, and I've liked what I've seen so far defensively. I don't have anything negative to say about Xander Bogaerts so far, which obviously is what we'd like to see, right? We'd rather not have to say anything negative than see fans maybe overreacting to the first homestand on Bogarts' performance, because maybe this was the first time that some fans are seeing Bogarts because they didn't go watch Red Sox games, or they didn't really watch Bogarts in the postseason. They just care about Padres baseball, and that's fine too. Youssef says, in today's game, when Crone went home on the double steal, if he had just tagged out the runner at second, would the run have counted? If there was 2 outs in that spot, then no. But I don't know if there was 2. Was there 2 outs in that spot? I forget if there were 2 outs in that spot. If there were 2 outs, then no. But the runner may have beaten it anyway because Nola's throw wasn't strong. Like, Crone had to come off the bag to receive the ball, have a little momentum, and he had a kind of off balance throw to home. I think it was the right decision by Crone. Like, he saw the guy run from home. At that point, you got to try to limit the runs. So I was fine with the play from Crone. It wasn't that hard of a throw by Nolan. I mean, none of his throws really are. But look, the pitchers have to be a little bit faster to the plate. Got to control the run game better, especially against teams like the Diamondbacks that have multiple fast players. It's not just Corbin Carroll. Jake McCarthy's pretty fast. All right, more Padres talk. What grade would I give the Padres this homestand? All that and more here after this. I want to tell you about the best and easiest way to play fantasy sports. It's Underdog Fantasy. They have great pick'em games and best ball tournaments. In pickup games, just pick higher or lower on 2 to 5 players' stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. You can go cross-team, cross-league, and even cross-sport. Best ball revolves around the draft, which is what every fan loves the most about fantasy, and it eliminates the hassle of having to manage your roster all season long, resulting in a fun and easy fantasy product. How does it work exactly? You enter a contest where you participate in a snake draft against other users. That lineup that you drafted competes against every other draft in the entire contest. The better the combined performance of your team, the more money you win. After your lineup is all played, Underdog will take the best performing players and automatically set them as your starting lineup. That's it. No waivers, no trades, no worrying about who to start or sit. After you complete your draft, your part is done. Underdog Fantasy offers best ball in a variety of ways, including daily contests, weekly contests, playoff contests, and season-long contests. You can either enter into these and compete against thousands of other entrants for huge prizes, or, if you'd like, you can enter into a private draft with friends and family to compete for a smaller prize pool. Underdog keeps it super simple with their easy-to-use website and mobile apps. Sign up now by clicking the link in the description or by using the promo code Talking Friars, and you'll double your first deposit up to $100 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit of $10 or more. So if you deposit $100, you get $100 free. If you deposit $10, you get $10 free. Yeah, so my Underdog pick today. So I had Darvish higher than 5.5 strikeouts. He ended up only getting 3 strikeouts, so I obviously did not hit that one. I had Sandy Alcantara from the Marlins higher than 6.5 strikeouts. He ended up throwing, I think, a shutout. It says here 5 strikeouts. Let me double check that. I think he finished that game against the Twins. So, yeah, Darvish, that was kind of surprising to me that he only got 3 strikeouts in that game. Because even him only going 5 innings, like, he just has that natural strikeout stuff. Going to the Marlins here, Alcantara, 5 strikeouts. Yeah, so not many strikeouts there for pitching, 9 innings? 1-0 win for Miami. So, yeah, so click that link in the description, the underdog link. You can use my code Talking Friars. They'll double your deposit up to $100. So you deposit $5, you'll have 10. They'll give you 5. You deposit 20, you'll have 40. So hopefully you understand that. Pick 'em, best ball drafts. Definitely encourage you to use Underdog Fantasy. More sports than just baseball. There's a lot of other sports too. Enrique says, I can't wait for Musgrove, Suarez, and Tatis to be on the team. I want to see the team at its full potential. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're all waiting for. There is an update on Fernando Tatis Jr., by the way. He is starting minor league I don't want to say rehab games. He's starting minor league games today for El Paso. I believe they're in Sacramento. There's also a Joe Musgrove update. So Musgrove, he's going to have a rehab start on Thursday for El Paso in Sacramento. So Tatis, the situation there is he can return on April 20th against the Diamondbacks if every Padres game as scheduled is going to be played leading up to that Diamondbacks game April 20th. Doesn't seem like there's going to be the best weather for the Atlanta series this coming weekend. So if games have to get postponed and the Padres have to make those games up, then the date for Tatis to return will be pushed back from April 20th to April 21st if Padres don't play one of those games, or April 22nd, 23rd, whenever. He has, I think, 16, something like that, 16 games that he still has to miss. I think that's right. I'm just double checking here, so give me a minute to double check. Because I post on social media, I post a daily Tatis highlight until he returns. 16 games, it looks like. 16 games until Tatis returns. So if the Padres have some of those rained out, then that date gets pushed back. So I know some have the April 20th tickets because they just think that that's going to be Tatis's return because that's his scheduled return. I'm just telling you, it's not guaranteed that April 20th is when he returns. He's just on track to return at that time because the Padres have played every game as scheduled. But that could change with the Atlanta, New York road trip because we know the weather doesn't always cooperate on those, East Coast trips. So good news. Tatis seems pretty healthy. Seems actually 100%. So between spring training ending and now, I think he's been in Arizona just hitting on off of minor leaguers, backfields. I think he probably hit off of Darvish, Musgrove when they were having some of their rehab outings. So that's the latest there. And then good news on Musgrove, obviously, having him have a rehab start for El Paso. According to Kevin Acee, the Padres are leaning towards having Musgrove make a couple rehab starts with El Paso instead of just one. So that would mean that Musgrove could return March 16th instead of March 11th. I don't think that the Padres have ruled out the March 11th outing, but March 16th, it seems like that's the more likely date that he'll return now. March 11th was in New York against the Mets, which would have been great, right, for him to make his season debut in New York after everything that happened in the wild card series last year. But also, the March 16th, or not March, why do I keep saying March? April 16th. We just had the whole month of March, so I'm just used to saying March. April 16th, that game would be at home against the Milwaukee Brewers. So having him start his first game of the year at home would be cool too. So again, the 11th, that would be against the Mets. That's a Tuesday, or the 16th, that's a Sunday. That would be at home, I believe, against the Brewers. I mean, it seems like Musgrove is going to sit there and say, yeah, I want to go the 11th. I'm good to go for April 11th. But if the Padres think he should wait till the 16th, then I'm just going to follow that and say, yeah, he should wait till the 16th. I love Joe. He's one of my favorite players. I want to see him pitch in the big leagues with the Padres, but I don't want him rushing this because I'm looking at the long-term picture, right? He's already gonna, even if he comes back on like the 16th, he's coming back earlier than what some thought he was going to come back. Like he's going to come back earlier than when some people thought he was going to come back. Some people thought, what did some people say? Like he was going to miss all of April because of that injury. So for him to come back mid-April, that's pretty good. And remember in spring training when he was taking those like 40-minute drives to sit in the hyperbaric chamber for a couple hours. And then after working out in Peoria, he'd go back and sit in there for a couple hours, like just working his butt off to shave a little bit of time off of him being sidelined and him not being able to help the team. That's how much he cares. That's how much he wants to help this Padres team. So I definitely respect that. He's working his butt off. Um, I just don't, I don't want him to rush back, right? The competitor wants to rush back, right? The competitor in me, the competitor in him, obviously, but you know, this is a situation where you just got to think of the long term. And the training staff, the Padres training staff, they will probably get the last word, the most, probably have the most important say in this, right? All right, getting back to this homestand for the Padres, again, 3-3. I put a Twitter poll up at Talking Friars on Twitter. How would you grade the Padres' first homestand of the season? The options A, B, C, or F. I don't do D's around here. You either passed or you failed. Um, not many people said an A. 1.6%. There's been a pretty good vote size. Over 630 votes, 637 votes as I'm reading this. Couple hours of the poll. Over 600 votes. So 1.6% of those people said A. I disagree with that. I would not say an A. When you go 3-3 against the Diamondbacks, the Rockies, I can't give you that. When you blow a 4-run lead in the last game of the homestand, I can't give you an A. When some of the star players did not get off to very good starts, can't give an A. But I like those fans that are thinking positively. I just hope that we have higher standards than, oh, they had a 3-3 homestand. All right, A. We should have higher standards for this team. So it's good that most of the fans here in this poll did not put an A. 29.7% said B, 59.3% said C, and 9.4% said F. I am in that 59.3%. I would say a C. What is a C? Passing, average. All right. That's what the homestand was results-wise, 3-3. There was some encouraging signs from the bullpen, but then there also was not some encouraging signs, right? There was more encouraging signs than not from the rotation. But then there were sometimes there were some other not encouraging things, like sometimes the defense was not great, like today. Or the lineup didn't do much the first two games of the homestand, right? You gotta balance those things out, right? So 3-3, and if they were 3-3 against like the Braves and Mets, maybe I would have said more like a B because better competition. But Rockies Diamondbacks 3-3, it's hard for me to sit there and say, no, I'll give you better than a C. So I'm going C. If we go back to just this homestand, right? Just go through every game that happened in this homestand. First one of the year, opening day, game got pushed back. They lose 7-2. Second game of the year, they lose 4-1, right? First two games of the year, they were outscored 11-3. Then we go into April. They win 8-4. They win 3-1. They win 5-4 last night, even though they got saved by the 8 and 9 hitters, and one of them was a pinch hitter. So some encouraging signs, some discouraging signs there yesterday, and then discouraging signs today, and some encouraging signs from the offense. But um, I think they went a few innings without getting a hit after the Bogarts home run. It was not off to a good start those first couple games. Then they went on the 3-game winning streak, but then they finished the homestand up with a bad taste in our mouths, right? So again, it's hard for me to give this team better than average, which is a C. A is great, B is above average, and C is average. Just they passed the homestand. That's what I'll say. They passed the homestand. All right, I did want to finish this up, just hitting on San Diego State for those that did not see my reaction to San Diego State's loss to UConn and the season ending last night. This is maybe a little bit better for the podcast audience too, because maybe they don't subscribe to the YouTube channel and didn't see it. So I just wanted to give a quick reaction again. So San Diego State, they obviously lose to UConn last night. This was like the first time this tournament where you sat there and was like, yeah, UConn's just a better version of San Diego State. UConn's the better team, and they won. Did the Aztecs help themselves, not being able to make a basket for 11 minutes? No. But like Jaden Ledee, he's a big dude, but he was having a hard time getting past some of the big men. Sonogo, there was a couple other big men. There was like a 7'2" freshman coming off the bench that made Mensa and Keyshot and a rope. Ledee made them all look small, and the Aztecs didn't really see that in the tournament. Even Alabama, like there was comparable size there. Felt like Alabama was the better team heading in, number 1 overall seed, but the Aztecs, they didn't run into the length, the size yet in the tournament that UConn had. So I'm bummed out that they weren't able to beat UConn, but I find myself not being able to sit on that thought for more than like 10, 20 seconds. Yeah, I'm bummed out about the loss, blah, blah, blah. Things didn't go their way. But then I immediately go to what a freaking season that was. What a successful season that was. Some didn't know if this team was going to win a tournament game. I was thinking this season was going to be a success if they won one tournament game because it was progress, because Dutch hadn't ever won a tournament game as the head coach. That's what we wanted to see, right? Was progress. And going into the Charleston game, we knew it was going to be a tough match, a tough matchup, right? So they won that game. Then they dominated Furman. Then they beat Alabama. They beat Creighton. They beat FAU, and they were in the national championship game. It still feels like a dream. Like this team was 40 minutes away from winning the national championship. This team was playing on Monday night. This team was playing on the elevated court. Because it's Final Four time when they're playing on the elevated court, because they're not playing in a normal arena like they do in the rounds before that, right? They were playing in front of, 70,000, I think it was, 70,000 people. They were playing in an NFL stadium. It just still feels like a dream. It's a season that some Aztecs fans probably don't even dream about because we didn't even think that this was like a possibility of happening because the Aztecs had never gotten past the Sweet 16. You get past the Sweet 16, it was that would be like, holy cow, what a year. They didn't just do that. They won the Elite 8 game. They won the Final Four game. What a year. Mountain West regular season conference champs. They won the Mountain West tournament. And then they won 5 tournament games after Dutch had never won a tournament game as the head coach. So I'm just proud of this team. Mensa, a rope, Bradley, Seiko, Lamont, obviously, but I was just trying to hit on the seniors first. So proud of the team and so proud of San Diego for really showing support, great support to this Aztecs team during this run. Even if you weren't a San Diego State fan, you probably are now, or you you still rooted on this team uh, during this run because you were supporting San Diego sports, and it was a heck of a run. I love the support from the Aztecs fans going to Houston, and San Diego State chartering like 700 students to go to Houston. It was cool, really, really cool. So yeah, memories that San Diego's never going to forget. I'm never going to forget where I was, my reaction to Lamont hitting that game-winning shot to send San Diego State to the national championship. The Final Four was already like, wow, Final Four. But to win on a dramatic moment like that, I'm not going to forget where I was watching Lamont hit the game winner against New Mexico earlier in the year. Um, there were a lot of moments that come to mind. The Parrish three early in the year, I think it was against UC Irvine. Seiko going nuts at Viejas. Um, Obviously Trammell against Creighton and making the free throws. The foul that controversy. It wasn't a controversy. It was a foul, but a lot of memorable moments. Even earlier in the tournament, against Furman and just the physicality San Diego State showed with Mensa, a rope coming up with big blocks. I'm gonna remember a rope block. I'm gonna remember watching the play over again because I didn't know because where I was watching from on the Butler shot, I didn't know that FAU uh, had their shot blocked by a rope. I thought they just missed, but I'm gonna remember going back and seeing that and like, holy cow, what a block by a rope! And then Mensa gets it down to Lamont, and Lamont almost stepped out, left hand comes up, jumper hits it, and crowd goes nuts. San Diego State goes nuts. All of San Diego went nuts, and seeing the reaction from Tony Gwynn Jr. on the Valley Sports San Diego broadcast, right? All of these memories that they're just flooding back to me as I'm just trying to think of as many memories as I can about this year. And we'll have, more time to reflect, obviously, on these moments. But I just wanted to end this pretty much by saying, what a year. Super proud of the Aztecs team. It was a year that again, some Aztecs fans don't even dream about, probably didn't even dream about because we didn't even think that it was possible that they would get to the national freaking championship game in college basketball. Uh, Pac-12, Big 12. I think Pac-12 is probably coming. If San Diego State is not invited to another major conference, then I don't know what those conferences are doing. Perfect timing for that. Uh, Love Brian Dutcher, as the coach of this program and these players that really, really love playing for San Diego State. Great fans, and hopefully this was one of many long runs in San Diego sports this year, right? Still got the Padres, still got the Wave. Hopefully it was one long run, and now there's going to be some more long runs coming up after that in the month of October. All right, that's going to do it. Talking Friars episode 378. Thank you, everyone, so much for tuning in here for the show. I'll talk to you guys later in the week. Off day tomorrow. Then the Padres, they're back at it. Hopefully the weather can cooperate. They're back at it on Thursday against the Atlanta Braves. Again, thank you, everyone, for the time. Ben Fadden signing off. Go Padres. See ya.